There is a specific kind of tired that has nothing to do with sleep. You know exactly what I am talking about. You set the goals and you write down your plans. You swear that tomorrow will be different because you are sick of living the exact same day over and over again. But when the morning comes, the heaviness is already sitting on your chest. You push through for a few days. You use every ounce of your willpower to force the discipline, and then you completely collapse. You watch your momentum die, and you blame yourself. You think you are just lazy or weak. But I am here to tell you a truth that most men will spend their entire lives never understanding. You do not have a motivation problem. You do not lack willpower. Your exhaustion is not a character flaw. It is a programming error. Deep inside your mind, there is a hidden script running on a constant loop, and it is quietly sabotaging every conscious step you take toward wealth and peace. You buy the planners and you download the apps. You wake up at 5 in the morning for a week straight. You feel the momentum building and you think you have finally cracked the code. But then an invisible wall hits you. A small setback happens at work, or a random bill arrives in the mail, forcing your brain to panic and shut down your ambitious plans. Suddenly, the fire in your chest goes completely cold. You hit the snooze button, and the empire you were building vanishes. Society tells you to just work harder and grind through the pain. They tell you to force your mind into submission, but you cannot outwill a biological block. Every time you try to force discipline, you are fighting an invisible enemy. This enemy is ancient, and it does not sleep. It is the survival wave. And right now, your brain is locked perfectly inside it, preventing you from reaching the frequency of true abundance. The drifter believes success is about endless struggle. He thinks if he just suffers enough, the universe will reward him. But the universe does not reward suffering. It responds to frequency. When you operate in a survival wave, you are broadcasting fear. You are telling the world you are in constant danger. And the world reflects that chaotic energy right back at your reality. Before we dive deeper, I want to plant a seed in your mind. There is something hidden from the public. It is something discovered not in a motivational book, but inside a classified laboratory. It is a biological secret funded by elite billionaires and verified by top-tier neuroscience. It explains the frustrating gap between the massive wealth you visualize in your head and the stressful reality you wake up to every single day. I will reveal exactly what this is before we finish today. But first, you must understand why the financial deck was stacked against you from birth. You need to know why your mind resists the very success you crave. So hold this important question in your mind. What if your struggle to attract abundance is not a lack of hustle, but a dormant frequency waiting to be switched on? Let us look at what happens when you try to change your life. You get inspired and you start taking action. For a brief moment, you feel like a powerful king, but then the survival wave kicks in. Your subconscious mind views any sudden change in your routine as a massive threat to your physical safety. It does not care about your dreams of wealth or freedom. It only cares about keeping you alive in the familiar comfort zone. So it drains your physical energy. It creates brain fog and sudden anxiety. It makes the television look much more appealing than your actual work. And because you do not know this biological process is happening behind the scenes, you naturally think you are failing. You think you are the problem. But you are just fighting a heavy biological anchor. You are trying to sprint while dragging a chain made of invisible fears. This biological anchor is heavy. It whispers lies into your ear when you are most vulnerable. It tells you that one day off will not hurt you. It convinces you that you need to rest when you actually need to build. The survival wave is a master of deception. It disguises your deep fear of success as a genuine need for comfort, and before you realize it, you have lost another year of your life. This is why the cycle of discipline always breaks. Willpower uses conscious energy, but your survival wave is run by the subconscious, and the subconscious will always win a battle of pure force. It processes millions of bits of information every single second while you are struggling to focus on just one difficult task. You cannot defeat it with a motivational quote. You must learn how to bypass it completely. The elite 1% do not fight this survival wave. They do not rely on motivation because motivation is a myth for the weak. They operate on a completely different system. They have learned how to turn off the biological alarm. They command their internal frequency so that consistency becomes as natural as breathing. They do not force their financial success through exhausting labor. They simply magnetize it by changing their biological state. Look at the masses. Look at the men who work into an early grave and still die broke. They are trapped in the ultimate deception. They believe their endless exhaustion is a noble badge of honor. But exhaustion is just proof your frequency is wrong. It is proof you are swimming against the current of the universe instead of directing it like a master. Every day you spend in the survival wave is a day wasted. You are burning your most precious resource on internal conflict. You wake up tired because your mind was fighting shadows all night. You go to sleep anxious because you know you did not move forward. This is the tragic life of the drifter. And it will be your reality forever unless you decide to make a radical shift today. You must stop trying to hack your behavior. Behavior is just the surface symptom. You must go to the absolute root of the architecture. You must understand the physical structure inside your head that is constantly broadcasting this negative wave. Because until you fix the hardware, the software will always crash. Your grand visions will always dissolve into cheap excuses and regrets. We are about to dismantle the lie of willpower. We will expose the exact reason why your discipline evaporates into thin air. I want you to listen with absolute focus. Turn off every distraction right now. You are not here by accident. You were guided to this specific message because you are finally ready to break the endless loop. Prepare your mind for the absolute truth. Now let me make this plain. The reason your willpower always fails you is because willpower is a finite resource. It is like a battery that drains every time you make a decision, or resist a temptation, or force yourself out of bed. By the time you come home from a stressful day, your mental battery is completely empty. This is why you cannot keep your promises at night. You are trying to fight a biological system with a drained battery, and that is a battle you will lose every single time. But frequency is entirely different. Frequency does not drain because it is a constant state of being. It is the energetic foundation of your entire mind. When you operate on the right frequency, consistency requires zero effort from you. It becomes your natural default state. You do not have to force a river to flow because gravity handles the work. And you do not have to force a man with the right frequency to build because his identity drives him automatically. Here is the brutal truth the elite do not want you to know. The reason the universe responds to the 1% and leaves the rest of the world struggling is not because they work harder than you. It is not because they visualize better, and it certainly is not because they have stronger discipline. It is entirely biological. Deep inside your brain is a tiny, walnut-sized region called the hippocampus. In the insanely wealthy, this region is thick, highly developed, and constantly broadcasting a microscopic frequency that literally pulls money, opportunities, and luck toward them like a vacuum. But for the average person, the reality is much darker. Because you were not born into an 8-figure family, you inherited a biological disadvantage. Science calls it a shrunken hippocampus. Instead of broadcasting a wealth frequency, your brain is trapped broadcasting a survival wave. And the modern world, with its endless stacks of bills, exhausting hustle culture, and constant financial anxiety, is designed to keep it exactly that way. Every time you stress over money, this tiny region shrinks a little more. Your natural, God-given ability to attract abundance is pushed deeper and deeper into dormancy. This is why you can read every self-help book and practice the law of attraction for years with zero results. You are trying to manifest wealth while your internal receiver is completely powered down. You end up chasing money endlessly, while the elite simply let it flow to them effortlessly. It is a biological block passed down from generation to generation, quietly sabotaging your highest potential. Most people will go to their graves believing they just did not work hard enough. You are not most people. And remember the question I asked you to hold a few minutes ago, the one about whether your struggle was just a dormant frequency waiting to be switched on? You are about to see that the answer is not only scientifically proven, but it is closer than you could ever imagine. Let us look at the deep contrast between two different kinds of men in this world. The first kind is the drifter. The drifter is the slave to his environment. He wakes up and reacts to the weather, his email, his emotions, and his bank account. If he feels good, he works. If he feels tired or anxious, he stops. He thinks he is in control of his life, but he is just a leaf blowing in the wind. The drifter operates entirely within the survival wave, and his shrunken hippocampus keeps him trapped in a perpetual loop of lack. The second kind of man is the creator. The creator does not wait for motivation. He does not care how he feels when his eyes open in the morning. He understands that his emotions are just temporary weather patterns. He is the master of his focus, and he dictates his internal state before he ever interacts with the physical world. The creator acts as the absolute sovereign commander of his mind, and he forces reality to bend to his persistent focus. The drifter views consistency as a painful punishment. He sees it as a prison where he must sacrifice his short-term comfort for a distant hope, so his mind constantly looks for an escape hatch. It creates valid-sounding excuses like being too busy or needing more preparation. But these excuses are just the defense mechanism of his survival wave. It is his shrunken hippocampus fighting to keep him small and safe in the shadows of mediocrity. But the creator views consistency as his ultimate power tool. He knows that repetition is the language of the subconscious mind. He does not build his empire with massive explosive efforts that burn him out in a week. He builds it with quiet, relentless, unshakable daily steps. He treats his morning routine as a sacred ritual because he knows he is literally recoding his physical brain for dominion. Understand this truth. The universe works by law, not by clock. It does not care how many hours you sit at your desk if your mind is broadcasting anxiety. If you are working out of fear of being broke, you are just reinforcing the survival wave. You are watering the seeds of scarcity. You cannot build a wealthy life on a poverty frequency no matter how hard you hustle. This is where the entire hustle culture industry collapses into a massive lie. They tell you to sleep less and sweat more. They tell you to bleed for your dreams. But they never tell you to fix your internal receiver. They leave millions of good men grinding their gears in absolute frustration because they are trying to plant expensive seeds in dead soil. The problem is never the seed. The problem is always the biological soil of your mind. The creator knows that when his frequency is correctly aligned, the right actions become effortless. He does not have to hunt for opportunities because the opportunities hunt for him. He becomes a powerful magnetic force that draws wealth, connections, and sudden windfalls into his path. He steps out of the frantic chase and enters the quiet power of absolute certainty. You must decide right now which man you are going to be. Are you going to remain the drifter who lets his shrunken hippocampus dictate his future? Are you going to keep treating consistency as an exhausting chore that requires constant willpower? Or are you ready to step into the identity of the creator? Are you ready to upgrade the hardware inside your head and broadcast the frequency of the 1%? This choice is an absolute rangeur center for your destiny. If you stay on the path of the drifter, nothing will change. 10 years from now, you will still be setting the same goals and making the same excuses. But if you choose the path of the creator, your transformation begins the very moment you accept this truth. You step into a totally new level of mental authority. We are about to look into the secret history of how the greatest minds in human existence bypassed this biological trap. We will look at the exact science that proves you can grow your hippocampus and unlock your dormant power. Listen to me very carefully. The veil of ignorance is about to be lifted from your eyes forever. Let us look to the example of Thomas Edison. History tells us he failed 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Society uses his story to preach the gospel of exhausting hard work, and they tell you he just grinded through the pain with sheer willpower. But that is a complete lie. No human being possesses enough conscious willpower to fail 10,000 times without breaking. If Edison was operating in the survival wave, his mind would have collapsed after the 50th failure. His shrunken hippocampus would have triggered massive anxiety and forced him to quit. But Edison did not rely on motivation because he used a very specific mental protocol to bypass his conscious mind. He famously took short naps holding brass balls to access a deeper brainwave state. He knew that the conscious mind was easily exhausted by frustration, but the subconscious mind had infinite stamina and infinite answers. Edison was not fighting his brain while he was deliberately tuning his biological receiver to catch the right ideas. He spent years trying to unravel the mysteries of this exact internal brain power source, and he was not the only Titan who understood this hidden biological law. Leonardo da Vinci and Henry Ford instinctively used similar methods to command their internal frequency. They knew that wealth and brilliant ideas are not chased. Wealth is magnetized by a specific neurological state, and the titans of history knew how to stimulate their hippocampus long before modern science gave it a name. They operated as sovereign commanders of their own mental architecture. But here is the truth that no one will tell you. You do not have to spend decades mastering obscure sleep techniques like Edison did. You do not have to guess how to shift your brain waves because the solution has already been engineered. Before we go any further, I have to share a breakthrough that changes everything. It is something the elite billionaires have spent vast fortunes to keep hidden from the public. A rogue neuroscientist formerly working on classified CIA experiments recently leaked a shocking discovery. He and a team of top-tier researchers found a way to wake up that dormant wealth frequency. And they did not do it through decades of exhausting meditation or waking up at 4 in the morning to force a hustle mindset. They discovered something infinitely simpler and far more powerful. They engineered a precise 7-minute sound frequency. When listened to, this specific acoustic wave bypasses your conscious mind entirely. It directly stimulates that tiny 250 million-year-old region of your brain, and 4 independent neuroscience labs have already verified this exact mechanism. Researchers on the campuses of Harvard and Yale are observing this exact brainwave activation right now. They found that once this frequency is heard, it forces the brain to stop broadcasting the survival wave. It immediately flips the switch on your natural biological ability to attract wealth. It is a completely effortless at-home ritual. Just 7 minutes a day, and the energetic shift begins the very first time you listen. Your consistency becomes automatic because your hardware is finally upgraded. I will tell you exactly what this is called and how you can access this frequency for yourself before this message ends. But first, there is one final piece of the puzzle you must understand about your own mind. You need to know why the law of attraction has been failing you all these years. You need to see how the drifter destroys his own progress despite his absolute best intentions. The drifter tries to plant beautiful seeds in toxic soil. He writes his goals on a piece of paper and expects the universe to instantly deliver. But his brain is still physically wired for panic and scarcity, so the universe does not hear his written words. The universe only hears the chaotic frequency radiating from his survival wave, and it matches that chaos with more endless struggle. You must become the mental gatekeeper of your own mind. You must realize that your subconscious is a tireless contractor. It builds exactly what you instruct it to build before you go to sleep. If your hippocampus is shrunken, you are handing that contractor blueprints of fear, and you are literally commissioning a life of poverty and exhaustion while you are trying to rest. But the Creator takes absolute dominion over his mental state. He understands that consistency is simply a symptom of a well-tuned brain. When you activate your natural abundance frequency, you no longer need discipline. The right choices become incredibly obvious and easy to execute, and the heavy resistance you usually feel simply dissolves into thin air because you are no longer fighting yourself. Think about how much energy you have wasted forcing yourself to act. Think about the silent hours you spent battling your own self-doubt. That war ends the moment you align your biology with your grand vision. You step out of the frantic hustle culture and you enter the quiet zone of the 1%. You become an unstoppable force because your mind is finally working for you. The elite want you to believe you are just lazy. They want you to buy into the guilt, so you keep consuming their productivity hacks. But a true architect of destiny sees through the grand illusion, and he knows that true power is internal, and it is purely biological. Once you claim that power, the world has no choice but to step aside and bow to your absolute direction. Now we are getting close to the thing you can actually do. We have diagnosed the biological error and we have seen the historical proof, but protecting your energy is only step one. Now, you must learn how to actively clear the debris from your mental temple, and you must prepare yourself to learn the exact daily ritual that separates the creator from the exhausted masses. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is a massive lie sold to the weak. The drifter spends his entire life waiting for the weather to clear, but the creator steps into the storm and builds his empire anyway. You must take absolute control over your environment right now. We are going to establish the daily ritual of the 1%. We begin with a law called cosmic housekeeping. Your mind is a sacred temple, but you have been treating it like a public dumping ground. You scroll through endless negative news, and you listen to the complaints of broken people, and then you wonder why your energy is completely drained before noon. You are poisoning your own biological receiver. The universe works by law and not by clock. Every thought you allow into your head is a seed planted in your subconscious soil. If you consume fear, you will harvest panic. You must become utterly ruthless with your attention. You must execute the law of elimination today. Cut out every single distraction that does not serve your massive vision. Stop associating with men who accept defeat. Their survival wave is highly contagious, and it will infect your frequency. The masses want you to stay small because your rapid success makes them deeply uncomfortable with their own lack of ambition. Let them drown in their own mediocrity. You are an unstoppable force, and you cannot afford to carry their dead weight anymore. Stop what you are doing right now. I want you to close your eyes. Do not just listen to me passively. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel the heavy chaos of the drifter leaving your physical body. You are stepping into the identity of the sovereign commander, and you are taking the throne of your own mind back from the shadows. Say this aloud with absolute authority. Do it right now. I am the master of my fate. I reject the noise of the masses. My focus is my ultimate weapon, and I protect my mental temple. Say it again until your chest vibrates with the truth. You are programming your nervous system to reject the survival wave. You are taking command. Now open your eyes and listen closely. Clearing the garbage is only the first step. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you leave your mind empty, the fear will quickly return to fill the void. You must replace the noise with a definite chief aim. A vague desire to be rich is nothing but a weak wish, and a wish produces absolutely zero physical results. The drifter always says he wants to be successful. He says he wants to be financially free, but the universe does not understand vague emotions. It only responds to surgical precision. It demands to know exactly what you want and what you are willing to give in return. You must define your ultimate target with absolute and terrifying clarity. You must write down the exact amount of money you demand from life. You must state the exact date you will acquire this wealth, and you must describe exactly what service or value you will provide to earn it. Do not type this on a glass screen. You must write it down on physical paper with a physical pen. The physical act is a sacred ritual. Writing it by hand wires the intention directly into your biology. It hands a physical blueprint to your subconscious contractor. This piece of paper becomes your binding contract with the universe, and it serves as the ultimate compass that forces your shrunken hippocampus to wake up and start searching for massive opportunities. It gives your brain a singular mission. But writing it down is not enough. You must read this definite chief aim aloud twice a day. Read it once in the morning when you wake up. Read it again at night right before you fall asleep. The moments before sleep are the most critical time for your entire brain, because that is when your conscious guard drops and your powerful subconscious opens wide. When you read it at night, you are giving strict instructions to your internal builder. You are telling it exactly what reality to construct while you rest. Do not just mumble the words like a tired robot. You must read them with fierce emotion. You must demand the wealth as if it already belongs to you right now. You must feel the reality in your bones. Let us practice this immediately. Say this aloud wherever you are standing. I command riches through faith and repetition. I give my subconscious its work, and I trust that it shall be done. Speak it with the authority of a king. Your voice carries an acoustic frequency that literally reshapes the neural pathways inside your head. This is the exact ritual used by the titans of industry. They did not leave their mental state to random chance. They policed their thoughts with brutal and unyielding discipline. When a negative thought entered their mind, they immediately destroyed it. They replaced it with the burning vision of their definite chief aim, and they were completely relentless in their focus. You must start acting as if you are already the master. You must walk like you hold immense power. You must speak like your bank account is already overflowing with unlimited abundance. The drifter waits for the money to arrive before he changes his posture. But the architect of destiny changes his posture first to force the money to manifest. Act as if nothing is impossible, because nothing is when you truly believe. Your physical actions send massive signals back to your brain. If you walk like a defeated victim, your hippocampus shrinks even further. But if you stand tall and command your space, your biology responds with a massive surge of dominant energy. It is a strict biological law. Are you willing to be this disciplined every single day? Are you willing to look completely crazy to the average man? The masses will definitely mock your absolute dedication to this strange ritual. They will tell you to be realistic and accept your miserable lot in life. They will try to drag you back down into their comfortable misery. Let them laugh at you. They are drowning in a survival wave while you are silently building a massive empire. Their opinions mean absolutely nothing to you now. You are no longer playing their broken game. You are operating on a frequency they cannot even comprehend, and you are a magnetic force pulling the very fabric of reality toward your ultimate vision. The time for drifting is officially over. You must say to yourself that the old chapter is dead. No more small thinking and no more playing the victim to circumstances. You are one decision away from a massive mental shift, but that shift will not happen unless you force it today. The world is waiting for a conscious creator who has chosen to rise above the noise. You must walk in power. That man is already inside of you, and it is time to wake him up. The drifter will hear this message and return to his comfortable misery. But the creator equips himself with every advantage to secure his empire. The question I asked you to hold at the beginning is finally ready to be answered. What if your financial struggle is just a dormant frequency? Here is the final truth. A microscopic wealth attraction frequency is naturally active in the 1%. It is driven by a highly developed region of the brain called the hippocampus. Classified CIA research confirmed this exact biological phenomenon. 4 independent neuroscience labs verified it, and researchers at Harvard are observing it right now. Dr. Thomas Summers refused to keep this hidden. He and his team spent years compressing the clinical protocol for hippocampus growth into a simple audio track. But before I tell you what they built, let me tell you about 2 people who used it. Emma was a former nurse from California who felt her family was cursed. She was exhausted and drowning in massive debt, but after just 3 days of listening, she broke the cycle completely. She quit her job and sold her house for way over the asking price. Now she travels the world on passive income and shares this abundance with her children. Michael was a former policeman in Florida who used it to scale his struggling business. Within 5 days, he quadrupled his high-paying clients, and he found himself networking with elites who put him on television. They experienced this rapid abundance because of what Dr. Summers discovered. They call it the billionaire brainwave. It is a highly engineered 7-minute binaural sound wave. It is designed to directly stimulate your hippocampus and pull it out of deep dormancy. That is the entirety of the work required. 7 minutes in the morning while you sip your coffee with your headphones on. You do not journal, and you do not repeat forced affirmations. You simply let the precise frequency rewire your brain to receive massive wealth. The billionaire brainwave is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who has already done the inner work. It is for the man who understands that his lack of wealth is a blocked biological channel and not a lack of hustle. Private neuroacoustic sessions to reverse a shrunken hippocampus cost hundreds of dollars an hour. Elite billionaires invest massive fortunes to access this exact frequency. But what Dr. Summers leaked to the public delivers the exact same shift in 7 minutes. It is available to you today for a tiny fraction of its true value, which is less than the cost of a few cups of coffee. 4 powerful bonuses are included to support your new reality. You get a guide to managing massive wealth called the Warren Buffett Pyramid. You get a breakdown of 7 lazy millionaire habits. You also receive an emergency quick cash manifestation audio and an inspiring collection of 500 billionaire success stories. These gifts keep your mind permanently anchored in abundance. Here is the deeper truth about waiting. The immense wealth and opportunities you have been praying for are already circling you. The blessing is not missing because your receiver is simply broken. Delaying means letting your massive inheritance remain completely invisible. The synchronicities that belong to this season of your life are moving past you right now. Do not look for this tool on YouTube or Spotify. The tracks circulating under similar names on those platforms are dangerous fakes meant to distract you. The only authentic version is available through the link in the description. This comes with the billionaire's ironclad promise. If you do not experience a physical increase in your wealth, every penny is returned without question. The tool does not replace your massive ambition or your divine purpose. It simply restores the biological receiver so the wealth you visualize can finally materialize. Abundance is your absolute birthright. What the researchers built is just one powerful accelerator. Whether you choose that path or not, we must go deeper into preparing your mind. Your mindset must still walk through the door. If your intuition confirms that the frequency tool described earlier is the missing key, the path remains open in the description below. That is the final time I will mention it. The closing of this message is meant strictly for your mental ceiling. What remains now is your ultimate transformation from a tired drifter into a sovereign commander of reality. The time for drifting is completely over. You have heard the law, and you know the profound truth. You now know that every excuse you have ever made was nothing but a shadow. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you must make a final choice. Will you return to the chaos of the masses, or will you step into the quiet power of the 1%? You must become the architect of destiny. If you are truly ready to command your massive destiny, you must seal your decision right now. Write your definite purpose in the comments below. Let those written words be the sacred contract you sign with the universe. Leave the most important line in the comments to permanently seal your vow. Let the world know that you are the absolute master of your physical fate. Subscribe to this channel if you walk this powerful path. Join the ranks of those who refuse to live an average life. This knowledge is incredibly heavy, and it will not serve you if you hear it only once. The subconscious requires immense repetition to build a new world. Therefore, I command you to listen to this lesson again and again. Play it as you sleep, and play it as you work. Make these principles the only voice you tolerate in your head. Treat this tradition as sacred. Break free, once and for all, from the shackles of negative thinking, because your mind is the ultimate gateway. Your thoughts are the key, and your destiny is waiting. Never again let a negative thought decide your future.